This broadcast from IOF TV is brought to you by Technicality and Lumonite.
Welcome back to Edinburgh for the 2024 World Orienteering Championships. It's Catherine Bett and James Ackland here to bring you live coverage of the mixed sprint relay. And we've moved to the outskirts of the city today, to the Riccarton campus at Heriot-Watt University. You can see these large buildings here, lots and lots of greenery, lots and lots of trees on campus. So it's going to be very, very different to the individual sprint that we had 2 days ago. It's much flatter. And lots of tricky, interesting route choices that the teams are going to have to face. So they are teams of 4. We begin the mixed sprint relay with the women's legs, then we do 2 men, and then ending with the women as well. And it's going to be very, very fast and furious, especially amongst the top teams. But it's luckily, the rain we had yesterday has gone, but I tell you what, it has made the course out there pretty slippery. There's some sections with puddles, there's also some sections with just a small layer of mud on the top of the hard surface, and it does mean, well, hopefully the athletes have picked some grippy shoes for them to wear. We're based here in at the Orium campus, this purpose-built high-performance sports centre where we have a little bit of spectators spectating inside the big building that you see there. It's got a huge tall roof, and we have some spectators out on the grass in front of the big screen as well. But you can see we're basically right on the edge of the city, right next to the countryside, and it's pretty decent conditions for sprinting and for spectating out there as well. And I think a few surprises that the athletes are going to face, not least this maze here. This is the start and finish. We are inside the Orium on the artificial pitch here. And you can see that the challenges they're going to be facing, the 3.8 kilometres for the women, 4.3 for the men's. Estimated winning time, 59 minutes overall. I think that's a little bit optimistic. We think it's going to be around about 15 minutes for the women, maybe just under for the men, but it's going to be very, very testing. All right, let's bring in James then to talk you through the map and the course layout and what the athletes are going to be facing.
Thanks very much, Catherine. Well, like you said, this is an unusual course in a few ways. Lots of surprises for the athletes. Planner Graham Ackland, who, full disclosure, is my dad, has thrown out the rulebook for normal planning here. The idea is a psychological course, and he's going to try to keep applying pressure to the athletes throughout. The cost of that is that there's not many places where there are pivotal route choices. This long leg here, 6 to 7, which is coming up on your screens, the athletes will think this will matter a lot, but in fact there are 4 route choices and they are all almost exactly the same time. So any time they spend standing around at control 6 is time wasted, and they will want to do that after those tricky long legs on Friday. As we move further through the course, we see some forked sections where different athletes will have different routes before another long leg down to what is the women's number 10. There is the opportunity to lose a lot of time here if you go left, if you go out to the east, but I think few athletes will do that. It's fairly obvious that you want to stay to the west side of that large building. Another forked section between 13 and 15, This should just split the athletes up a little bit more. And again, just putting a little bit of pressure on a few places here. You could catch 2 seconds or lose 2 seconds if you're in the lead before we come past the fan zone. And this leg, 18 to 19, is devilish. There is the opportunity to lose only maybe 10 seconds, but you are doing it right in front of the fans, all of the pressure on, and you're just at the end of your World Championships run. We could see some heartbreak there.
Yeah, it's because they've got some artificial hedges in the way. We will come back to that. I'm sure we'll talk about that lots. Let's go into a little bit more detail on this leg, 6 to 7, as you said. All of the routes, you kind of have to go back on yourself, as you can see there, but they are very even, right?
Yeah, they are very even. It might surprise a few athletes that they need to come backwards out of the control at 6, but this is something they should be used to. But yeah, like you say, the trick here is that there is no trick, and this will just be a surprise. I'm sure on first leg people will come racing through it, but later on you might see a bit of standing around, and just know if you see that, it's exactly what it looks like. It's an athlete losing time. Here's Joe Sunley pre-running.
Yeah, absolutely. So going by the lake here, and then opportunity to cut through the woods. And it's actually good to get a look at what this is like, because some of the white woodland is pretty good to cut through, and even some of the light green as well. And they'll all have prepared that it might have some foresty sections.
The athletes have been told that the forest is pretty runnable. In fact, because of the rain, some sections maybe not quite as nice as they might have been, but for these guys, no problem. They'll be through it quickly.
Let's have a quick look at this one then, and this is one where actually you can win a few seconds by taking this green route choice.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Harder to see, perhaps, with a bit of a wiggle in the middle, but yeah, the pre-runners have found that this route is a little bit quicker.
Yeah, but there's lots of kind of points of this. You see the entrance to number 11 there, that very, very small paths around buildings, little cut-throughs, and they've actually, I think, cut some vegetation out so you can get into the yellow bit in the circle at control number 11 as well. And actually, it's some of it is about spotting those moments. And if you spot those moments, you're not going to win loads of time or lose loads of time if you miss it, but it's little seconds here or there, and it just adds to the stress is the idea. But you can see running through the car park here and then in towards the control number 11, and it's very typical for the UK, this style of university campus, to be honest, with these larger buildings and these small little tracks as well.
Could perhaps be an advantage for some of the English-speaking nations. You never know.
Yeah, it could be. It's something quite distinctive to the UK and to those who race here as well. So these are the first leg runners then, just being kind of held back at the moment. There's been lots of discussion, hasn't there, about do we want to show them the maze or not? But this is a good opportunity then to talk through our favourites. They go off in the order of the results at the World Championships 2 years ago, so in Denmark. So Sweden, they took their 4th title in a row there. Surely, are they the big favourites for today?
Red-hot favourites. You look down that list, Hanna Lindberg, Emil Svensk, Martin Regborn and Tove Alexandersen. 2 gold medals and a bronze in there already. Just the one missed punch, though.
Yeah, exactly. Who else could we see up there?
I think Norway and Switzerland are big contenders. Switzerland, I think, probably my favourites for the silver medal. Great Britain have a strong team, but so do the likes of Denmark, Czech Republic, the Finns. There is lots of potential here. Even some surprises maybe from teams that didn't do so well last time out. I have Hungary and Spain down, and also New Zealand, I think, could be in with a shot of the top 10.
Well, there are 2 men in the top 10 2 days ago in that individual sprint. They've got some strong women on the list as well. But let's talk through then these top 6 teams. We will start with the French team, and Isia Bassé, their first leg runner, was 7th in the individual sprint, so clearly in some good shape there as well. Men, maybe not quite as strong. The Danes, a very, very strong team. No Malin Eggerid Christiansen, obviously took 5th place yesterday. She's not in the team, but we bring in Josephine Lind on the first leg. For Switzerland then, Natalia Gempeler, I think making her debut in a WOC team for Switzerland. So too Ricardo Rankin on the second leg there. A few of the men didn't race in the individual. Victoria Haystad Bjornstad, she also didn't race in the individual, but she's a very, very strong runner. And then a big cheer in this arena as we go to see Grace Malloy, a podium position, a top 6 position for her in the individual sprint. She will hand over to Freddie Carcass. And then Hanna Lundberg is wanting to, I know she will try and take some revenge on her result from 2 days ago where she ran past control number 12. The Finns, do not count the Finns out. They have the same team that was 2nd in Italy in the World Cup earlier this year. They're an incredibly strong team. So too are Czechia. They were 3rd in Italy with exactly the same team. You saw Barbara Matakova there. Very, very strong team from both Finland and Czechia, despite them having slightly higher numbers. So We've got all our teams then ready on the start list and ready to go. We've got 34 teams lining up there. And you can see they've got their maps furled up. They do actually have a map flip on this one. And you can hear they've got 10 seconds ready to go. We can see Hannah Lundberg there, Grace Malloy. We've got Natalia Gempeler. We've got Victoria Haystad Bjornstad. And there they go, out of the start. And we begin this World Championships mixed sprint relay. They unfurl their map straight away. They actually run past the last control.
View of the maze as well, and this is intentional from the planner. He wants to get them thinking, oh no, there's a maze at the end of this race. I need to be thinking about that. It's all about the pressure here. Who's going to be first out of the building?
Yeah, it looks like it's Hannah Lundberg straight out there. You can see Natalia Gempeler just kind of taking a map to one side, maybe trying to check the codes there, and they all go out of the sports centre and very, very shortly in towards the actual start point itself. There's a run out to this point, and then they're in the woods here. There's quite a lot of puddles. It's quite slippery, and they do have some route choice. Let's have a little catch up with them on the running camera. And then you can see the puddles there, and they do have some route choice from the control number 1 to 2. It's actually a common control, number 1. Very, very unusual. Here it is, as we see the first athletes to this point. Very, very unusual to have that. And also, look, the Hungarian team right up there as well. Right
up there, like I said, a team that could be ready to spring a surprise. This leg 1 to 2, if you try to take the route that looks straightest on the map, you will lose some time. So athletes need to either commit to going left, or there's a good option through the forest to the right if they're willing to take on a bit of green forest in a sprint. But actually, looks like we've got a big old bunch. One athlete there. Just checking back to join in. Was that Gempeler? Yeah.
I think so.
Doesn't want to go her own way. It's the pressure of the sprint. Everyone wants to stay together.
This is quite chaotic here. They're coming across all these barriers. They did have these barriers demonstrated in the model event. They're like artificial hedges. They're basically a fence covered in some green material, but it's marked on the map as a hedge. Anyway, they've all come through the car park, no problems. They're going to cross the next car park. You can see, actually, I'm not sure whether that was the most optimal route. And then they head all together through the car park, and there is a forking, there is a gaffle on the next control. So you bring them up together as they go through the cars. You can see the orange of the Netherlands, the Yves van Dongen in that group there, but you can see the athletes from the top teams, so Sweden, Switzerland. Their aim is to try and get a gap on the rest of the field, and we can catch up with them here. We've got the Spanish team in the picture, and there is a forking here, so it does make sense that they split up. And this forking, as you see here, we've got A and B on the marking there. What is the point of this forking? Well, the idea is to split up the athletes a little bit, make sure you can't just follow all the way around. And what we'll see is that if you end up in the wrong pack, so if you have a B forking and you follow the A route, you could lose 5 seconds, 10 seconds, maybe more if you get really worried about it. This shouldn't be decisive, but it is an opportunity for teams who are orienteering themselves to get a bit of a gap. And they're going to cross a lot, right? And they're going to cross over, yeah. This is also another feature here of this forking today, is to make sure that the athletes are kind of unbalanced by the forking and to try to make it difficult for them to keep track of where they are relative to other runners. That's something that, as an athlete, you really want to know. It shouldn't be front of mind, but it always is. And this will help to unsettle them in that way before they come back together at the common control at number 5. So you can see Sweden, Norway, Great Britain there, all with the A forking. That has got, so they've all got different combination of controls here. And then they will all then join up at the next one at number 5. You can follow, this is Maja Sienoja, and for Hungary it is Victoria Marg, who had a great run, in fact, in the individual, 12th place for her, but Maja Sienoja here for Finland. They are a fantastic team. Yeah, we'll see how this shakes out when they all come back together. The running camera has chosen to follow the Finn, and I think that might be because she is going to come back with a bit of a lead. An interesting route choice here, actually, to number 5. I think it will come out okay for Maja Sienoja, but the Estonians have gone a completely different route, and this could be early trouble for that team. So you can see it is Switzerland in the lead, then it is Norway, then Finland. You can see the Estonians there having to go back down the steps. It's Eveli Karskiu on the first leg. But Switzerland, Norway, Finland, Hungary, Sweden a little bit further back, not too much. Oh, Czechia there, quite a lot further back after having the B forking. That's Barbara Matakova on the first leg. We want to highlight them. They are a really, really strong team.
Yeah,
so always
especially if they get through this first leg kind of unscathed, they are right in with a chance.
So look how closely they're all reading their maps here. They're on their way to, I think this is this the sixth control?
Yeah, this is sixth control. Highlight the Irish team there, well up there, and it's very, very bunched.
Look how long Estonia has waited here before making a decision. That is a long time to take and make that decision when we know actually they're all really equal.
Yeah. This is exactly what the planner wanted to see. He will be delighted to see them standing around. Nia Schindler as well of Australia, spending a long time looking at the map. Would have been a great strategy on Friday, not today.
So if we have a look here, we are following Portugal, Sweden there, and they have gone towards the north. And for all, it's so frustrating to be going away from the control before you come back towards the control as well. But it's with these barriers, it's just very tricky to see. And they will be expecting them to have big differences in terms of, you know, in terms of which way you go, like the sprint 2 days ago. They also won't know that this is a common control, this next control. It's been quite characteristic in a few sprint relays recently that they have a long control where there's two forked options, two gaffles. If you go one way, it's much better to go one way for one control and going the other way to the other control. If you pick the wrong route choice, you can really lose a lot of time. But here, it is just the same for everybody.
Yeah.
And so this is this whole big pack. We've got Norway, Sweden, Portugal, Austria, Great Britain, Ireland in there as well, all going this way. And then we have a big group going the other way, Finland, Poland.
I wouldn't put too much stock on the GPS, but it does look like Maija Sienoja of Finland might just have a bit of a gap on the pack that has gone to the south of the lake, but the North group all still very much together.
Yeah, I'm going to say that I think this North group is going to get to this control first. And you can see actually you have this taped bit, they cross through the woods here. It's pretty decent running. And actually, so in the pictures, we're slightly ahead of the GPS tracking as they emerge from the forest. The control is just around the corner of this building. But they're already, spreading out quite a lot, and you can see that these are the first athletes here. Looks like Gempela in the lead, then we've got Heistad Bjornstad, then we've got Lundberg for Sweden, then Portugal, I think. We've got Hungary, Grace Malloy for Great Britain there. We've got, quite a few athletes here.
Some surprises there, and I wonder if this is a feature of that quite long run between 6 and 7. It does allow the faster athletes to open up a gap.
So the first one who went to the south was Finland, so they're through just in the top 10 then. You see Belgium, Ukraine, Italy through here.
Aoife McCavanagh of Ireland still up in the top 10 as well. That's good to see.
And now there's, again, a route choice through to the next control. This is one I think a lot of them will have been expecting because we know this building is very big and very... there's no cut-throughs opened up.
And we are seeing some of the big teams make a big mistake here. This is Sweden and Switzerland coming to the left of the long building. And we know this route is maybe 20 seconds longer, I think, in the pre-running.
I'm not sure, actually, because we had the comparison for the men's leg here, actually. So I think on the women's leg, it's going to be much more comparable.
I think you might be right. I might be getting ahead of myself there, thinking about the men's race.
So let's have a look, because Norway has gone to the west. So we'll see them. We should be able to see them, actually, as they go through at control number 8. Although, I think it does look good for Norway. We have a lovely drone shot then over these buildings, and we can see them approaching the 8th control very, very shortly. But Norway, one of the few teams to go straight on there. And now you've got to wiggle through this section. Going to be very interesting. I think they're possibly quite equal then as they go into this similar section here. There they go. That is the control number 8 that you saw on the picture. And then you can see... Well, it's hard to tell from the drone shot. It's hard to tell from the shot.
It looks like, a very small lead for Victoria Heistad Bjornstad. 1 second at this stage doesn't mean much. And it's worked out fine for the athletes going to the east of the long building.
but Myosino there back in 12th position, taking that southern route choice around the ponds. And then there's a few small controls in this section. They'd have already punched control number 9, which you can see in the picture. Then they're going to do a little S-bend, we think, round to control 9 to 10.
You can see on the drone shot, they've all taken that route. It's harder to see, I thought, but no problems. You can just follow the woman in front. Isia Basse of France, a little bit behind here, 30-second gap.
Absolutely, maybe some mistakes, or maybe the more technical sprint really suited her 2 days ago. Not quite with the same flat speed. And then fairly simple controls here. The next one's quite interesting. We highlighted it on the broadcast at 10 to 11, where you have some opportunities to cut through to the yellow section on 11, that is quicker if you go left of the line and then through that little yellow section in the circle. That just seems to be what all the teams are doing.
Quite hard to spot on the ground. We saw that pre-running. I don't know if you went that way, Catherine, but yeah. There's a very narrow gap, and if you're not careful, you could easily run straight past it. And
I know your dad was out doing some gardening.
He was, yeah. I brought the shears along this morning to make sure that everything's just about passable. Looks like the athletes have got through it okay, and that's Grace Malloy in the lead. Yeah,
it absolutely is. We've also got Norway up there as well. We saw Switzerland there, we saw Sweden, no problem. All the big favourites. The only one of our big favourites a little bit further back, we have Finland and we have Czechia a little bit further back too, but Malloy has pushed into the lead. And then there is another forking here. As we see, we're surprised to see the Polish athlete, I think that is Alexandra Hornik on the first, no, sorry, it's Agata Olejnik,
yeah.
On the first leg for Poland. Alexandra Hornik, they have on their last leg, took a 4th place 2 days ago. And then this is really good, actually, from all of these teams. Actually, Austria not quite going the right way, but if you've got the F forking, you want to go a little bit further to the left. If you've got the E forking, as Sweden, Great Britain's done, you want to stick close to the building and go to the right. And that's exactly what we want to see for all of these athletes. So Victoria Heistad-Bjornstad in the picture there for Norway. And we will try and catch up with them as they punch this next control. I think you can see there maybe a little bit in the lead for Hannah Lundberg. At this next control, and then you want to try and go north of the building to the next one. You can see from this drone shot here some of the athletes having to go a little bit further around the building. There is a little cut through just that's hidden by the building on the very bottom of your picture.
Really hard to see, but an opportunity to steal 4 or 5 seconds here, and it doesn't look like the top teams have seen it. Maybe the Austrians have, though, so maybe this could get them back up the list a little bit.
But if you had E, it's exactly right to go where the leaders have gone through here. So here's Grace Malloy and Hannah Lundberg, and they've got a little bit of a gap here. Eve van Dongen, actually, from the Netherlands into 3rd place. A very strong runner and is proving herself here. Natalia Gempelo, another of the favourites in there. We've also got Josephine Lind from Denmark. This is strong work for the Danes, and now they seem to be split up a little bit more.
Stringing out a little bit, and big cheers inside the Orium Sports Centre as Grace Malloy comes through, another TV control in the lead. It's not anything that large at this point, but the partisan crowd getting excited.
Nadia Gonzalez in the top 10 for Spain. They had a good qualification, all of them, the other day into the sprint final. And now we begin to be about 30 seconds back. So kind of with no surprise, the athletes spreading out a little bit more towards the end. And now they've got this interesting run through here. The planner, the course setter, said he doesn't like boring run throughs where you just put the map away. So they've got a control in front of all the athletes. You can see just how well Grace Malloy is reading the map here. And she's got to go around that green barrier that you can see there. And she looks like she's
seen it. She has seen it, but yes, this is an opportunity to lose some time. The Swedish athlete coming at a funny angle, but I don't think she's lost too much here.
No, I don't think so. And this is really tricky orienteering in front of the crowd here. They've got the control there, just punching it, no problems. And actually, you've got to be careful to get your good angle out of that control as well. I'm not sure the leaders have done that. They've maybe gone a bit further round. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think there may be a couple of seconds lost there. Yeah, like you say, it's not the hardest looking orienteering, but when you're there on the ground, that car park is really tricky. So interesting to see. Maybe that
hasn't. There's definitely a mistake here. Ooh. Oh no, it's fine. Yeah, Great Britain going back towards number 1. and that's why she'll have lost the time off the back of Hannah Lundberg and of Eve van Dongen. And there is Grace Malloy for Great Britain. There is Natalia Gempeler. And now they have this maze here, and this is very interesting. They're going to have a lot of stress here, and that's the control they've got to go to first.
Well, I'm not sure what's going on here with the Swedish athlete. That is not the right way from Hannah Lundberg, and she has let the other teams back into it. She had the lead, and now she's lost it to the Swiss, I think.
Yeah, she absolutely has.
No, sorry, that's Eve van Dongen.
That is Eve van Dongen, and now the next route here. So mistakes in this maze from Hannah Lundberg. It's not going to matter too much, but actually it's bunching all the athletes up here, and then now just trying to figure out exactly where they're going here, and this is exactly what we'd want to see for these athletes. They're really, really close
all
together.
Coming in together. This is exactly what the maze was supposed to do. Will Grace Malloy get the chance to cross the line first at this home World Championship? She has a really good chance as they come in towards the sheep.
Okay, we're letting the athletes then through. So the Netherlands in the lead, then Great Britain, then Sweden, then we have Switzerland, then we have Denmark, and it's really, really close here. So Netherlands change first, then Great Britain, then Sweden, all within a second, then Switzerland, then Denmark changing over next.
Norway just a little bit behind as they come into their second leg, but that is your front pack of 6. And we can see here some of the incoming runners. They look exhausted. The Spanish runner, the Spanish team up there. They've got a chance today, certainly, to spring a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, really, really strong work from Gonzalez on the first leg for Spain, inside the top 10. And now we see more of the chaos on this maze. It's actually brought the athletes a lot closer together. They were much more spread out. And Grace Malloy, unfortunately, a mistake basically coming out of that kind of spectator control. And now we have athletes through to 15 exchanging then. And Italy there, just crossing the line. Belgium next. Tilly de Smoel's going to hand over to Yannick Michels.
Expect him to make up some time. Sure.
Yeah, I think he'll make up some places. Evely Karsaku. Watch out for Laura Robertson coming through here. She's going to hand over to Jo Lynch, who had a great run on the individuals. So too did their third leg runner, Tim Robertson.
I would expect the New Zealand team to be moving up through the ranks as well as we hand over to Jo Lynch. What a fantastic run from him on Friday.
Absolutely brilliant stuff from the team. Laura Robertson there just crossing the line. Let's have a quick look. This was this control here, the spectator control, and then Grace Malloy goes left, and she should not have done that. She should have gone right. You can see her just trying to stop and figure out exactly where she's gone. She heads even further left, and she's then got to figure out that she should be towards the right, and loses, what, a good 10 seconds
Looks like that could be 10 seconds. Yeah, she's done well to get back up to the front pack after that.
This is on the tracking. So you can see these extra green barriers there, just making it a little tricky, and then she heads out towards number 1. I nearly made that mistake on the pre-running, because you have these 2 tracks. It's a kind of a strange junction there, just after.
So easy to do, and that is that pressure of the fan zone paying off. Not on the control we thought we might see the mistake on at 17, but actually the one afterwards. And how often do you see that? The tricky control, you get through it fine. The easy one just after your head is scrambled. So how are we doing on the start of this second leg?
Well, Switzerland and Ricardo Rankin, he has put his foot down, going straight out of the start, and he has got a gap because Switzerland changed over in 4th, and now he has pulled the team up into the lead.
Wow, that is a rapid start from Ricardo Rankin. Not selected for the individual, but I saw his flatmate, actually, Tino Polsini, take a stunning 2nd place. He'll want a medal to match his mate today.
Yeah, he'll definitely have been inspired by his performance there, and again, a lot of the Swiss team, especially on the men's side, making their debuts for the team. And for Norway now, we've got Erik Langadal Breivik on this leg. We've got for Denmark, we've got Andreas Bock Bjornsson. For Sweden, we've got Emil Svensk, bronze medalist from 2 days ago. And on the British team, there is Freddie Karkus. Looking for the Czech team as well, we've also got to watch out for them. Jakub Glonek, he mispunched on the individual race. And they really kind of crossing here, but we can see that they're about to head then out of this first section, this more kind of industrial section. It's very hard because a lot of these hedges are really high. A lot of the green sections you can't see at all, but you can actually see left of picture, there is the lead from Ricardo Rankin. He's punched his control, and in fact the others, some quite good visibility now of just how far he is ahead of the others. And they all turn around here. It's quite actually even, this route choice from 5 to 6, whether you go up the steps or whether you go round. Round is a bit further, but
a wee bit, but
you
not a lot in it.
the steps.
And yeah, that visibility opening back up again after a while, not knowing where you are relative to other athletes. They can now see Ricardo Rankin in his trademark cap has got a bit of a gap. Will that apply any pressure to the Swede Emil Svensk? And of course to the Brit Freddie Karkas. He's pretty cool under pressure, I have to say that. He's a long-time friend of mine. Oh, small hesitation there, but he's quick. He is really, really quick.
Some hesitations then here for these guys, and interesting to see the Norwegian Breivik going left. Not sure where all the other guys have gone right, I think, pretty much, which I think from the women's first leg looks slightly quicker. There's still lots of variance within this route choice. Here's the kind of next route then. With the Netherlands, we've got France, we've got Estonia, Austria, Czechia, Belgium, Italy.
Yannick Mikkel's made up a lot of time there, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Spain in that group as well. And yeah, a lot of people kind of stopping there. Some people, the Ukrainian athlete, very, very well prepared here.
Treshko knew exactly what he was doing there. He's backwards out of the control, and he's going to take, I think that is that southern route choice.
I think the athlete from the Netherlands choosing a different route then. So this is recap then. This is actually live here on the GPS tracking. Norway, the only ones to go that other way, and Sweden, Switzerland, Denmark, Great Britain, Finland, all on this way that we saw. I think the fastest option from some of the women. There's different choices here. In fact, they're actually sticking on the road, which I think is possibly a little bit further.
A little bit further. It does avoid that big climb up the grass, which doesn't look very appealing, but you do actually have to do it at some point, and so they're finding out now as they come around the south end of the building.
So on their way towards the 7th control then for the men, this common control on this route choice that's really actually is quite even on the choices here. We think
it could all be about running speed, and maybe the Norwegian athlete has actually cost himself a little bit. He doesn't have anyone to run with, so Erik Langendal Breivik all by himself doesn't quite have or know the pace that the others were going at, and maybe that's going to give him a little bit of work to do in the second half of this course.
Okay, at the control itself, Sweden and Switzerland neck and neck with Great Britain just behind. It is quite slippy there. Then we've got Denmark going a different route, and then we've got Finland. Denmark were in the top 5, so that is fair enough. And they should actually all back out of this control.
They should, yeah.
They really should.
Not optimal from Denmark. It's not a disaster, but it's not the right way, and it's that natural thing. You just want to flow through the control, but that's probably not best from Björnsson.
No, and so now on the course, this is where the men have their kind of extra distance compared to the women's leg. They've got this extra forking, this extra gaffle.
Whoa, and a bit of a slip there from the Austrian athlete. It's getting muddy in there. Janis Bonek, he's strong for the Austrians. He could make up some time as well.
Have we seen Norway through there? Yes, we have. We've seen Erik Langendal Breivik 12 seconds behind. Here's the confirmation then, and actually all of the athletes executing this, apart from Denmark, very, very well, because if you've got C, then you should go more to the left, and if you've got D, you should go, as all of the athletes are doing here, and go more to the right. And this is nobody really, apart from Czechia and Denmark, falling for the trap.
Same little trap there. I don't think it's going to cost them a lot, but it is not optimal.
No, not going to cost them too many, but it's all about positioning, and this is really, really tight here.
It's really bunched up. Yeah, you can see time for control 6 to 7. It's very, very even. The route choice really not mattering, all the way down to 11th place within 5 seconds. But the Norwegian Erik Langendal Breivik did lose 8 seconds there. He is better than that. So yeah, I think that's probably just lost to not being with other runners, because we saw that route choice quicker for the women.
No, I think that the top one was quicker for the women. So I think that is a shorter a longer route choice, or it's taking them more time, certainly, anyway. Okay, this route choice then, this is the key one. From this forking CD here to control 10, they absolutely want to be going to the west of the big buildings, which is exactly what they're all doing. In fact, they're cutting through this beautiful diagonal here on the slope, and we can see Emil Svensk and Ricardo Rankin in the lead here. The two nations we expect to see at the top here, Sweden and Switzerland, racing neck and neck here, and it's going to form so far here on this sprint relay. This is much more obvious, I think, on the men's control that you go this side here,
we're not
whereas
seeing any
you're
mistakes
losing a lot of time
I
if
think
you
it
go the
would
other way.
be very, very surprising to see anybody take that incorrect route choice here. Like you say, Sweden and Switzerland leading it, no surprises there. And in the chase back, Great Britain, Finland and Norway. Denmark also in the mix. So really, all of the nations that we thought we might see at the front are there as we approach the sort of halfway point of this second leg.
So this is control 10, and we've got Emil Svensk there and Ricardo Rankin, both of them very, very close together, and now maybe on that long leg they've just pulled away from the next two athletes. We've got Great Britain and Freddie Karkas, and we've got Mika Kirmala from Finland. This is third and fourth.
Yeah,
Denmark
that gap's
here.
opened up quite a lot actually over that long leg, and this is entirely by design. They loop back on themselves, they can see how big the gap is, a little bit more pressure on the athletes, and they will really, really be feeling it as they enter the second half of this course.
I think there's a different route choice there from, is that
It's hard to see which athlete that
Finland
is.
or is that from Switzerland? It's definitely a red, and I think it's Norway, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm afraid I can't pick it either, but someone doing something a little bit different in there, and we'll see how that shakes
Norway.
out.
Norway overshoots this. That's a mistake from Norway, and Erik Langedal Breivik. That is definitely a mistake. So if you watch the red tracking, he kind of overshoots there. Yeah,
that could be.
That's
That's big enough to be costly actually for Erik Langedal Breivik. He does have Kasper Fossa to pass on to those, so the Norwegians won't be getting too worried just yet.
Yeah, that's definitely a mistake then from Norway and dropping back.
Now we see the Swedes and the Swiss taking a very slightly slower route choice to number 13. I don't think it'll cost them a lot, especially not if the chase pack just follows them that way, which it looks like they're going to do. But this is maybe, I don't know, a second, 2 seconds slower to come right.
And that is control number 13, and then they're on to the third and final section of forking.
Different exit directions there for Emil Svensk and Ricardo Rankin. Perhaps they have different forkings, I'm not sure. And here's the chase back. Freddie Karkas of Great Britain. He is holding on to that third place. Mika Kirmala and Andreas Bok-Bjornsson close behind. And that's your top 5. Bit of a gap now, back to 6th.
So they split here, and we should see, in fact, actually, so Sweden will lose some time then on their route towards control F. Great Britain has got E, so that is good to stick close to the wall here. Exactly, you can see that Freddie Karkas looks ahead to see where the next section is.
It's nice, he's in control of this this little train here. He does know what he's doing, and that is good to see from Freddie Karkas.
Yep, absolutely. A few controls here in...
Oh, and Mika Kirmala goes down. And, well, he's back up again all right, but wow, that is the pressure of the mixed sprint relay, and Freddie Karkas just saunters by.
Well, I was chatting to some of the other pre-runners, and they thought it's really very, very slippery, and they thought we'd see quite a few people falling on sections here. But, oh, that made me absolutely flinch. I think he just grabbed...
Oh, that's going to hurt. That's really, really going to hurt. And I wonder if his shoe choice hasn't quite paid off for him there, Mika Kirmala.
Caught his foot on the rocks. That's painful. I think you could see him checking his... checking that he was all right there as well.
To be unharmed here, though. He's still up with the pack. That's good to see. We wouldn't want to see him go out that way.
Now, this is a sneaky cut through here on the way towards control number 17. And this is looking good for the British team and for the Danish team, as the two in the lead have already punched control number 17. They're here crossing the road. Just this section then next to come in front of the spectators, and then on to the maze. Here is third and fourth, with Finland dropping behind because of his route to this control here. Losing time there, losing 4 seconds.
So we will have our leaders coming through that technical section by the fan zone very, very soon. Adrien Delaine has moved up into 6th place, the French team making good progress, and that gap to 6th I think is closed as well. Boidoso of Hungary just behind as well. Here's Ricky Rankin.
Yeah, Ricardo Rankin in the lead then. You can see him looking over here on this very, very tricky section. It's a high, well, it's not that tricky, but it's high pressure. It's a high stress. They know they've got the maze coming as well. They'll have looked ahead and they've got all this crowd cheering. The course setter didn't want to make it an easy run through for the crowd. They wanted to put he wanted to put the barriers in place and have his control here, but no problems there for the two leaders, and they are less than a second apart.
Wow, it is really, really close, and this is the high pressure, high octane racing that we wanted to see through the fan zone. No mistakes from the lead two. Will the chase back get through unscathed? We'll find out very shortly, but these two coming in towards the maze with a sizable lead now. Andreas Bjornsson 20 seconds behind.
So the next runners there ready to go, and you can just tell they've both slowed
right down. Wow, it's like a tactical track race there with those two just sitting off each other. They want to see which way the other goes, but they're just losing time to the chase back now. This is, I think, the quickest route they've eventually settled on. Wow, they are really in the map, and I wonder actually if they might be overreacting a little bit to the maze. It's not that difficult.
No, I think the anticipation of the maze is more stressful than the maze itself, actually. And you can see Denmark, Great Britain, Norway also in this arena as well. Emil Svensk taking the lead here, and this does seem to be all the best route choices here through this maze, and now he's put his foot down there. He knows the rest of the way.
Now he knows what he's doing, and this is going to be a bit of a gap at the end here. Nothing decisive, but yeah, you're seeing here the speed of Emil Svensk.
And the guys here, they're being held back, so they can't really see what has been going on. This is very, very interesting.
Oh, it's a really quick finish from Ricardo Rankin as well.
Exactly. Sweden just first. Switzerland less. 0.4 of a second is the difference then. These two here next, and we can see Ricardo Rankin and Joey Haddon heading out next. Two incredibly fast runners. Amazing run from Denmark there to pull their way up into third place.
Andreas Bjornsson's done very well. Mika Kimmelen unfazed by that fall, and Freddie Karkas has got through that pivotal second leg for Great Britain pretty much unscathed. I'm so pleased to see that for him. That's a good run. Yeah,
a good run from, I think, there's no secrets that he's probably the weakest athlete on the team.
Certainly untested. We know he's really, really quick. 13:55 over the 5K. But yeah, we needed to see him get through unscathed for Britain's hopes. Here's Yannick Michaels, and yeah, this.
He's really caught up because Adrian Delen was in 6th place, and the Hungarian team, the Belgian team, all in there, French, Czechia as well, and they're about a big group, then 45 seconds down.
Yeah, I don't see any mistake from the French athlete on the tracking, so it looks like that was all just down to speed. Maybe that chase back inspired by the speedy Yannick Michaels getting a bit of an advantage. You see the Spanish team heading out onto their third leg a wee way down. I had them down as a possible contender to spring a surprise, but maybe not to be.
Could this be the closest sprint relay we've had so far?
Sweden and Switzerland absolutely inseparable at the front of the race, and a battle for third as well. I mean, as far as drama goes, to have the gold medal in question and the third place in question, I mean, yeah, this is really, really close. And actually that chase back not out of it for the front either. You can see mistakes of that size very, very doable here, as the two leading teams, I think, maybe split a little bit.
Yeah, certainly spread a little bit. You can see Martin Regborn, new world champion, taking his first world title. This man is going to be running full of confidence here, and he cares about every metre, cutting every corner here, and he wants to be the one to get the gap.
But we have seen those two take the slightly slower route choice from 1 to 2, trying to go straight. It's not very costly, but you know, you make 3, 4, 5 decisions like that, and suddenly the chase back could be right back on the shoulder.
So Great Britain there, just a little bit further back there, and we can see the different forkings in this section. They're just losing like a little few seconds here and there, which is kind of changing up all of the order of things as they go round. And again, these two athletes are really going to be split. They have to split, they kind of cross over, they come together, and it's going to make it really tricky to kind of know how to pace it when they lose sight of everybody else, and then they'll get
and good to see Sweden and Switzerland on different gaffles as well. So They will not know where the other athlete is until they come back together at number 5. You'd probably say Martin Regborn. I mean, he is now the world champion, slightly better technically than Joey Hadorn, so maybe he'll come back with the wee lead. But Joey Hadorn, bit of a relay specialist.
He is, and he's got that kind of like flat speed, and I think he's pretty good at that head-to-head is why he's selected for that knockout sprint for the Swiss team and not as opposed to the individual. Yeah, and he's a specialist in this. And this Swiss team is exactly the same team that won in Italy in that World Cup. And actually something we haven't mentioned, maybe it's a good time to bring in, World Cups, you can have like 3 or 4 teams per nation because they're huge teams. There's only 1 team per nation here, so they have to make it count. They
absolutely do, yeah. Also makes it a little bit less busy out on the course, which will be nice in terrain like this with all the twists and turns. But yeah, these are only the best of the best in each country coming out to play today. As we see, I think that might be a little gap there for Martin Regborn, newly crowned world champion on Friday, but I don't think this is going to hold on for long with Joey Hadorn's speed.
No, let's have a little look then as he's on his way towards control number 6 then. This is the first route choice, and you can see he'll be checking out all of his options.
Where is Joey Hadorn?
Yeah, here he is. He just took a different route out of the next one. He almost runs past the control there. And which way do they both go? I think as long as you go... Oh, Regborn just stopped there.
Yeah, this is that tricky long leg. Well, actually not tricky. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you execute it well, but they do not know that.
It's good to go
north route,
left, basically, the north route. They're coming in from the east, so as long as they go north, then it should be fine. Ralph Street, I think that looks good for him.
Slight surprise for me that Jakob Steinthal of Denmark has actually run away from Thomas Hekeler and Ralph Street. We will see how long he can hold on to that gap for. And Loic Cabin for France has brought them right back into the mix. No surprise, also Kasper Fosse keeping the Norwegians in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have this next chase group, this big group who were about 45 seconds down. So we've got another bit of time on the leaders.
They've all gone straight out of this control. There are valid route choices in this direction, to be fair. But you do have to turn around and run kind of away from the red line at some point. I guess they will all do that. Is that New Zealand?
No, I think it might have been Italy, but
right,
I'm just a little bit worried that Mattia De Bertollis is going to run past the control from the direction he was going there. Anyway, this is the 2 leaders. You can see it is Sweden and Switzerland still together on this route choice around the lake. They've both gone very, very similar routes. You can see the chasers are just the other side of the building coming past them. And there will be some sections where you can see ahead and you'll be able to see the gap. And some sections where it really closes and that visibility gets much more, much poorer, and you can't see
it's another variable that the planners played with here. Sometimes you have loads of information about where you are in the race, and then suddenly you lose it all, and you don't know what's going on. You might pop out in the lead, you might pop out 10 seconds behind. But yeah, in this case, lots of information about where the Swede and the Swiss are, and they just need to put the hammer down if they're going to try and close that gap, but easier said than done when you're chasing Martin Regborn.
So here are the 2 leaders. Different routes here.
And Joey Hadorn has made that mistake, I think.
Yeah, I think he's going to lose some time. Let's just check on the routes then, because we do have some little routes here that we can have a little look at. And just check this forking.
If he's on the C forking, it's not as bad, but it is still, we think, wrong for Joey Hadorn. And separation between him and Martin Regborn, as we see this pack of 3rd through 5th come through. Oh, and it's Loic Kappa now in that 5th place, ahead of the Danish athlete who has slipped back a little bit. So, yeah, like I said, he got off to a good start, but the Dane just a little way behind now. No, sorry, that was Kasper Fosse.
Yeah, the Dane went the other side of the lake, and actually he's dropped a long way behind.
Yeah, he's taken the Erik Langedal Breivik route, and it has not paid off for him at all. He's actually taken quite a bad variation of it as well.
Thomas Krivda, though, catching up. Here's Denmark, so they've dropped down there. Jakob Steinthal.
Thomas Krivda will hand over to Terezi Yanashikova. Not her greatest work on Friday, but she is a seriously, seriously talented athlete. So don't count the checks out just yet.
Yeah, anything can happen, especially on those women's legs where we have a little bit kind of more difference in times that they do. Those tend to have bigger gaps in their race.
Yeah, and how often do we see actually that these mixed sprint relays are decided by the women's legs right at the start and right at the end?
Absolutely. Here's the leaders, though, coming through the forking. It does look like they had C, and I think yeah, just a couple of seconds lost there from Joey Hadorn, as you could tell. Here's the leader. This is Martin Regborn, the new world champion in the individual discipline, and he'll be running full of a lot of confidence here on this section. He's going to want to try and get a gap and put Tove Alexanderson into a good position.
Yeah, and if you have Tove Alexanderson on last leg, well, you've only got to deliver her into some... Ooh, is he allowed to go across that? Well, I don't know. We can analyse that in lots of detail later.
Yeah, I think so, because the GPS is a little bit further behind, so he's just going through the forest.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's all good. Got a little bit excited there. But yes, like I was saying, Tove Alexanderson, a phenomenal athlete on last leg. If she goes out with any semblance of a lead, you would really struggle to bet against her. But it is Simona Avasol just behind.
But sometimes athletes like to chase, and I think Tove Alexanderson really likes to chase. We've seen her in that position before, like a few seconds down and wanting to kind of get a gap. And actually, I think sometimes she's better being chased, being the chaser rather than being chased.
Yeah, it is nice to have that feedback of an athlete of how much work you still have to do. If you're off the front, especially in those moments where you don't know where the chaser is, it can be tricky.
So it's actually now just between the building, just to the west of 10. So the picture a little bit ahead of our GPS tracking here. So Martin Regborn actually very close to control number 10 now. We can pick him up on the drone. Here is the control. He's going to turn around and go the other way.
Dropped Joey Hadorn, I think. Yep. That's actually becoming a sizable gap, and I wonder if that's just physicality between the two of them.
I think it must be, and I think we saw that on the second leg as well. The men managed to get a little bit of a gap back to the next athletes. Thomas Hakeler.
Oh, Thomas Hakeler, another very quick athlete, and he has done some damage in that bronze medal race.
I think this course is really going to suit Hakeler. I'm really not surprised to see him catching up this time. We saw him amazingly fast in Switzerland, where it was fairly flat, in the European champs last year in Italy, where it was fairly flat and fast as well, and slightly less technical, although it's still a pretty technical course. And he's really caught up the time there. So too is Fossa. Fossa into 4th place, so maybe some redemption here for Fossa after making a mistake on the individual sprint. Let's head back into the leaders. I think Regborn's lost time there on that route choice, but he is still in the lead. This is control number 12 for the men, and on his way now to control number 13. It'll be good to follow him.
Route choice here, I think.
Here's the Colombian athlete into this is control number 13, just around the corner there, I think. We're going to see Regborn appear from the other side. We wait for some of the athletes going the other way. Most of them are going to come from the other side.
They're going to approach from different directions here. Thomas Hakeler coming around the right-hand side a little bit slower, but it does give him a chance to open up, and he has got that real flat speed.
So Regborn has pretty much lost that whole gap that he had over Joey Hadorn from that route, from the route choices there, I think. Yeah,
that elastic band between first and second just tightening once again. Push and pull between Martin Regborn and Joey Hadorn. And, you know, maybe it'll turn out that this whole leg is for nothing if they come back in together.
Here's Fossa and Street, Norway and Great Britain, then together here in this top 5.
Look, Catburn comes in for 6th, a little gap back to him.
And remember, we lost the Danish team further down here, Jakob Steinthal. We've also got the Czechs in contention. Here he is. There's a little bit of steeplechase as well going on here. There's a few short fences, a couple of foot high, maybe 50 centimetres high, and they've got to do a bit of hurdles. And now Joey Hadorn in the lead here.
Yeah, this, I think, is the first time we've seen Switzerland in the lead since maybe even the first leg. I mean, it's not a big lead, but they are together as they head through some relatively easier controls before the opportunity to make that mistake in front of the big crowd in the fan zone.
Same forking here, so they've not made up this time compared to the forking. And in fact, all of those top teams have the same forking there. We don't have Norway in picture. We know Kasper Fossa is up there in the 4th spot at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like his GPS has just dropped out, but most of the chase pack, apart from Norway, also have the same forking on the F route. So Kasper Fossa will go a different way to the other athletes in that sort of 3rd to 6th range. Could see that make a difference. Here are our leaders coming through control 17.
Yeah.
Oh, Thomas Hakeler has really closed that gap. It's only 4 seconds now, and actually just behind, oh no, this is the Colombian athlete, I take it back. Getting a little excited there, we might have 4 in the race, but yeah, the Finns now back in the race for the win, and it's Venla Harju on 4th leg for Team Finland. She will go up against, well, it's unenviable competition, Tove Alexanderson and Simona Avasol.
And we can see, Street and Foster 4th and 5th.
Yeah, bit of a gap back now to 4th place. I wouldn't say the medals are quite decided yet, but, you know, if the trends continue, it's looking that way.
And now the psychology builds, the stress builds, because they've got this tricky control in front of all of these spectators here. They will know the maze is coming as well. They'll be looking around, and this is when they are tired. You're
really tired, and the trick here is to just not think about the maze. It's not important. It'll come in later, but you've got to get through these controls.
A deep breath there for Simona Abersold. You can see her there, and Tove Alexanderson steely look in her eyes. She's staying away from everybody else. Because they've been in quarantine, they have no idea what's been going on. It looks like these athletes made it through this kind of position, no problem, but the Finland right on the back of that. So we will have Tove Alexanderson, Simona Abersold, Venla Harju, all going out pretty much at exactly the same time.
Yeah, and what a run this has been for Tuomas Heikkilä. I mean, like you said, this is a course that might have suited him, the really, really quick finish athlete. Of course, he does have to negotiate the maze, but he can actually just follow these two athletes. It is unforked in the maze, although the athletes don't know that. And, oh, is that a bit of a mistake?
No, I think just a hesitation from Hadorn, but no problems here. Regborn actually looks really confident, and they're going to the first control in the maze here. Then they've got this one outside the maze. You can see in this lovely, lovely picture here. Oh, mistakes here for Finland.
That is Tuomas Heikkilä. Well, he doesn't get through the maze unscathed. It's only a couple of seconds, but that is separation that Venla Harju will have to deal with on 4th leg.
Here is Ralph Street in the maze here for Great Britain, and he's made a little bit of gap on Foster at the end here. And again, changing positions all the way through here. Regborn's there, and you can see these athletes looking a bit concerned there. Lots of cheers on here from the teams. There's a fight out here between Joey Hadorn and Martin Regborn. Joey Hadorn, I think, is going to cross the line first. So at the end, with 1 leg to go, it's Switzerland in the lead. Then Sweden, only a couple of seconds back. Then to Finland, 3 seconds. Then we're looking for the next teams. Here is Ralph Street for Great Britain, still in contention for a medal here. The Brits, Norway, Foster losing time here in the maze and handing over 16 seconds is the gap. 13 seconds back to the bronze. So Harju and Carter Davies here, and it will be Benjaminsen, Andrina Benjaminsen on the last leg for Norway.
Yeah.
Oh, some of the top women athletes in the world, incredible athletes now battling themselves out, and I don't think we've seen a sprint relay this close
this
at this
is
stage.
Total world class going out here, and Teresa Janashikova not far behind. She'll want to put on pressure, but yeah, it's what you want to see at the end of a sprint relay. It's Tove Alexanderson, Megan Carter-Davis, Simona Abersold, and Venla Harju battling it out for the medals. For my money, I think Venla Harju maybe just a little bit off the pace of the other 3 of them, but we will see how that pans out. And they've all just seen the maze for the very first time, so the stress of 4th leg combined with the stress of knowing there's a maze waiting for you at the end. I mean, what a race this is shaping up to be.
And these athletes are used to having much bigger gaps, I think, especially these ones that are familiar with going out on last leg, like Abersold, like Alexanderson, like Carter Davies as well. And Harju, I mean, she was on the last leg as well for the team in Italy. It's exactly the same team that took the silver medal in Italy. See more of the athletes coming through here. I think we've got Denmark dropping a few places, Spain there too. But so there's lots of cheers go on in the arena for these athletes. In the maze, we can catch up with the start of the 4th and final leg. Route choices here then for the athletes, with Tove Alexanderson choosing to cut down, I think, down through the forest.
She said she liked forest on Friday, doesn't care that much for sprint, so she's found some forest terrain today. And I think Simona Abersold maybe not quite the best route, but it's not too bad for her. And she is running with Venla Harju on that left route choice on this long leg. Another feature of that right route choice through the forest, it gives you just a little moment of calm if you're not with the other runners, and maybe that will suit Tove Alexanderson. She looked pretty calm in the pre-start, though. I don't think she really needs it. Oh, and now, actually, Simona Abersold has chosen to follow Tove Alexanderson rather than Venla Harju, so she's kind of switched route choice, and that's not great, I don't think, for Simona Abersold.
Which forkings have they got? That's the key. Lap 4, they've both got the same. Sweden and Norway have the same. Sweden and Switzerland have different forkings.
And here the drone shot of Megan Carter-Davis in 4th place for Great Britain, chasing down a medal they would love to take on home terrain, but she does have work to do here on this 4th leg. Plenty of time yet, though.
Lots of cutting through here for Abersold, for Switzerland, a route we have not seen anybody take here.
Yeah, it's not a bad route in the second half from Simona Abersold, but the first half of that route really not optimal for my money, and she does, well, it's hard to tell with the forking, and that is by design, but I do wonder if she's now dropped a little bit behind the great Tove Alexanderson, and that is not where you want to be.
But what we will do is we will get another time check at control number 5, and we can see what all this damage of the first part of this relay has done and compare to how they handed over these different routes here.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, with those front three of Sweden, Norway and Switzerland, sorry, Sweden, Finland and Switzerland, all handing over pretty much at the same time. And we will see how that shakes out at the common control at 5. But we are almost as in the dark as the athletes are as they come through this fork section. It's so hard to know who's up, who's down. It does look like the Norwegian Andrina Benjaminsen may be making up a bit of time on that B-forking on Megan Carter-Davies.
Yeah, she started 6-7 seconds behind Carter-Davies. And now we can see the first athletes punching the control in on the building, and we'll get a little time check, I think there. Oh no, actually we'll get the time check at the next one, which is just before the route choice. We can catch up with the leading athletes as they go around the building, some of them going back and avoiding going up the stairs. It's quite equal actually on these two options.
I think maybe Venla Harju's chosen to take on the stairs, maybe just wants to get that separation from the Swede and the Swiss. But like you say, Catherine, it really doesn't make all that much difference. Now here is Tove Alexanderson coming into control number 6, our time check.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, Switzerland and Sweden were together at the exchange. Finland just 3 seconds behind. So Abersold losing time, as you said, in this first section.
Oh, and they've completely stopped. This is exactly what the planner wanted to see. All three athletes stopping dead. This time doesn't matter at all. And is that a mistake as well from Tove?
I think Tove's going to lose time on this route choice. This is really, really interesting. And this is very... Oh, she's gone back the other way.
Oh, she's gone back. And there's been this huge excitement in the arena. Megan Carter-Davies also stops. Wow, this control is causing havoc on the fourth leg. We haven't seen any of the other legs deal with the stress quite this badly. Tove Alexanderson with a big mistake. She has got the quality to catch back up, but Venla Harju, who I picked out, maybe is a little bit slower. Well, she's leading it at the moment. Simona Abersold back on the front as well.
So yeah, Tove changing her routes here, and you're losing more time from doing that than doing everything else. Norway and Great Britain actually are going to go to the south, which is going to be very interesting to see how they manage to tackle that one. I wonder if they will lose time as a result of it.
I do think that route choice slightly slower, but actually they've made up most of the time on this leg by just not standing around for as long as that front pack did. They really thought the long leg was going to matter, and what we know in the commentary box that they don't is that it really doesn't make much odds.
So for me, advantage for Abersold here, and this is actually, you can see Switzerland in the lead, then Finland, then Sweden there here on this little route choice, but Alexanderson was in the lead in everything changing here. I hope we get another analysis of their times between controls 6 and 7 here. Let's have a little look at the replay. All standing around. Tove goes this way, about to go south. And then she comes back the other way.
Well, I don't know if Megan Carter-Davies will have caught sight of that error, but if she has, what a
and of course, they don't know that this is a common control as well. And in fact, she goes in a dead end there.
Yeah, no way through there, Tove. That's not going to work. Well, I don't quite know what's happened there.
They don't know that this is a common control and that they could all go out the same way. This is what it makes it really, really interesting.
Mind boggled on the long leg. But Tove Alexanderson does seem to have made up that gap really pretty quickly as we see those front three nations on the north side of the lake here, and the chase pack of Megan Carter-Davies and Andrina Benjaminsen going south of the lake. We think maybe just a fraction slower, but like I say, time made up at the first.
Tove Alexanderson, these micro route choices cutting along the grass. She's gone back into the lead. Here's Harju.
And that looks to me like a little bit of separation for Venla Harju. But you can see here on the tracking, Tove Alexanderson spots that tiny wee gap into the forest, and that is what has given her that advantage to get back in front of the race. Gap back to Harju now 7 seconds. That is sizable, and she might lose sight of these front two through some of the lower visibility sections. We see Megan Carter-Davies in it. 90 seconds behind, and she has not taken the best route out of that control.
I think she has taken the best route.
Oh, sorry.
Remember, they don't have the extra forking on the men's course.
I can't cope with the men having different courses from the women. You're absolutely right. This is absolutely fine. So a sigh of relief as Megan Carter-Davies does some forest orienteering. to get up onto the road route choice. And we will see them next with the running camera at 8 and 9. Ooh.
This is very interesting in the battle for bronze. We've just spotted Finland going the other way round to control number 8.
Yeah, she already had that separation from Simona Abbassold and Tove Alexandersson, so maybe that has contributed to her either taking a risk here or not seeing their route choice.
So the gap between Finland and Great Britain at control number 7 was 12 seconds. So watch out for what that means. So that time then, look at then for controls 6 to 7. Best times for Switzerland and Great Britain there. Norway, Sweden losing a bit of time. Finland losing the most time, actually.
Yeah, but don't be deceived by those times, because the time lost was at the start of the leg when they stood around. So the route choice not actually particularly reflected in those times there. As we see, I think these is Simona Abbassold and
Abbassold's got ahead of
Alexandersson.
Alexandersson here.
And they will not see Venla Hayu because she's coming into the control in an unusual direction.
So we want to actually see. So Carter Davies has gone through that section. Hayu punching at 12 seconds behind. Then we want to get the time check of the British team to see whether she's managed to catch up any time. The gap was 12 seconds. I think it's taking a while for the times to come through. It's actually grown then to 14 seconds.
Yeah, just growing a little bit, but also the gap from Hayu to the front dropping off. So Simona Abbassold and Tove Alexandersson, well, they are world class, and they're showing that here as they turn the screw on the Finnish athlete and the British athlete. We can see both if you look carefully on the north side of this drone shot.
These two at the front here, two of the best athletes in the world, neck and neck at the end of this sprint relay. Very, very, very interesting to see as we've just seen them punch that control 12. Our GPS tracking lagging just a little bit behind the real-time picture, as we might expect. And we see the athletes. They will have this one last forking to contend with, and then the whole point of these courses is they wanted to amp up the pressure just slightly. It's not the most technical course we've seen. It's not by far from the most easiest course, but it's just about making the pressure build and build.
And how do you fancy the pressure of this? 1 second between the top two for a WOC gold medal as they head towards the very final section of this course. This is just a brutal strain on these athletes. Can they keep their cool as they come into this final section with the fan zone? Venla Hayu clear in third at the moment, 20 seconds behind, and that medal is looking increasingly wrapped up for Finland. But who will win this race? It is Simona Abbassold with the lead at the moment, but Tove Alexandersson not far behind. How often do we see these two fighting it out for major medals at major championships?
Yeah, and this could be Finland's opportunity to get another bronze medal. They took the bronze in Italy at the European Championships. Tove Alexandersson stopping.
What is going on here, Tove?
Oh, she should have the control there.
Yeah, yeah.
If she's on a different forking.
I think she has the opposite.
Which forkings were they on?
Swiss, I think, perhaps.
Let me double check.
Just judging by what we've seen there, I don't actually have the list in front of me, but
yeah,
Tove
they do have different
Alexandersson,
forkings there.
just another couple of seconds lost, and again, that is what this course is designed to do. Another hesitation. Tove Alexandersson is not dealing with the stress here. Now, Venla Hayu quite a ways behind, but if Tove keeps running like this, and if she makes a mess of the fan zone, I tell you what, the Swedes are not guaranteed even a silver medal just yet.
So, to recap, Sweden have won this title.
Look at the lead for Simona Abbassold as she comes towards this next shared control. I think we might see a bit of a gap here.
Yes, I think we might. And here she is. Sweden have won this title 4 times in a row, this world title, but I think
she is clear. Simona Abbassold is clear. The Swiss team cheering. They know this gap is big now. It's almost 10. It's over 10 seconds. Where is Tove Alexandersson? That's not her. There she is. She punches 13 seconds behind, and that has been decisive. Just the stress of that forking. And if Simona Abbassold can just keep her head through the fan zone, through the maze, then it will be gold for Switzerland.
So losing 12 seconds between 11 and 15. Here's the potential bronze medalist.
Just inside 30 seconds behind. She will not contend for first and second, I don't think. think, today as we wait for Megan Carter-Davies.
And for Andrina Benjaminsen.
And for Andrina Benjaminsen, absolutely.
Britain and Norway are really close here as they contend for these podium positions. Here's the lead then. Here is Simona Aebersold. She has got it right through these forkings. She has kept a very, very strong and stable technical performance. She's coping with the stress, although she won't if she goes that way, I think.
Whoa, and that is exactly the mistake that the fan zone was set up to create. She's got that time to lose because of Tove's errors. Oh, and Tove also having a slight hesitation there, but Simona Aebersold caught out. And yeah, only because of Tove's own earlier errors has that not cost her the race.
Oh,
that could have been huge. Wow, this is, and it's not over yet. They've got to contend with the maze. Simona Aebersold makes it out of the fan zone, not unscathed, but still with the lead. And Tove Alexanderson not far behind now.
Yeah, I think Alexanderson's catching here.
It's now down to 9 seconds.
Right, they've got the maze to go, and everything I think could actually change in here. Just because of the anticipation of it. It's not really that hard to execute, but here she comes
Massive
into the
cheers
arena.
in the Orium Centre as we have the leaders come through. Simona Aebersold does have that gap. She has slowed right down to look at the map, though.
She absolutely has, and what will happen here?
Tove Alexander is chasing. Does she know that Tove is there, hunting her down? And I tell you what, chasing through this maze is a big advantage, but
different routes here then, and she tries to go a different route. I think it's still advantage for Aebersold here.
It's big advantage Aebersold. I think that might be the nail in the coffin for Tove Alexanderson. Not the best route choice. It's not a huge loss, but it might be enough.
So first and second place, both in the maze here. Both controls taken for Aebersold, just one more control to go, but Tove Alexanderson is putting her foot down.
Simona doesn't look confident. I don't know if she knows this route choice. Maybe she opens up a little bit now, but she's not moving that quickly.
The gap for me
is shrinking.
too big.
It's shrinking, but it might be too big. And Bella Hayu enters in 3rd place.
And after the 4 wins in a row for Sweden, it is Switzerland's day today. The whole team here have enough of a gap. Natalia Gempela, Ricardo Rankin, Joey Haddon, Simona Aebersold, so close here. And finally, after years and years of waiting, Switzerland have the world title in the mixed sprint relay. Their last win here came in the first ever sprint relay, 2014 in Italy, and they finally got another title here. Sweden, again, one of our big favourites. We thought they might take the win, and honestly, I think Finland are going to be so pumped by this.
Absolutely.
They get another bronze medal at a major championships. They got one in the European Champs in Italy last year, and they have another one here. It's always so tight for the bronze medal, and Finland in with the bronze, 38 seconds down in the end. I know that will be a very, very popular win. You can see the Swiss team already going and congratulating them, and we've got to have the count for 4th and 5th as well, because we've got Great Britain and Norway coming in, and in fact Norway and Andrina Benjaminsen I think must have overtaken Megan Carter-Davies then here at the end, and we can see no, Carter-Davies will be the next team in. But cheers then for the Swiss team, and actually fights here.
Wow, and let me tell you, the atmosphere inside Orium, I mean, it is so loud in here. Megan Carter-Davies.
She's dropped back, actually. She must have made mistakes, because here's Czechia, they're racing for 5th place, and France racing for 6th.
France got up, the Hungarians have run really well here.
Rita on the last leg.
Quite enough for the extended podium for the Hungarians, but Rita Maramarossi carrying through that form from a decent JWOC performance, and there is Megan Carter-Davies, crosses in 7th place, just missing out on the extended podium, the Brits at home. Wow, what a race that was. Breathless stuff. We didn't really know anything until Tove made that wee mistake coming into 15 through the fork section. I don't quite know what to make of that, Catherine. I'm out of breath.
Yeah, I want to know what happened at the end, because Carter-Davies was in 4th place and then dropping down to 7th just at the end.
Oh my word!
Okay, hang on. We just had information from the timekeepers that we have a disqualification for Sweden.
Well, we will have to see what has happened there. Another disqualification for Sweden after Anna Lindberg mispunched from a very promising position in the individual sprint. We'll have to see what's happened, but it sounds like there might be heartbreak for Sweden, who came in 2nd. They'll already have been disappointed by that, but it's about to get a whole lot worse for the reigning champions. Well, not reigning anymore, as the Danes come in for 8th place.
So that would put Norway into the bronze medal.
It would. Great Britain onto the extended podium as well in 6th. And here, the Austrian team, that's a decent performance for them, closing out in the top 10. I wonder who will come in next. It could be the Spanish team, I think. I think
Yeah,
we'll close out the top 10. So, discussions in the Swedish camp here. I don't know what's happened. We've heard it's a disqualification, which may not mean a missed punch. I don't know for sure what has happened.
Well, we had it from the timekeeping guy, so it must have been from the download, either a wrong control or missing a control, obviously.
Big celebrations for the Finns. I don't know if they know that their medal's going to be upgraded, but they are delighted with that third place. For me, certainly a contender for third. They will have known they were in the race, but maybe not my favourites for the third place. So a great run from Venla Haju to close that out, even if she did lose a little bit on the leaders. That is a strong run from her. And here we see Lizzie Ingham of New Zealand. Didn't quite get that top 10 that I said they might, but this is a strong performance from the Kiwis, as expected. A star-studded team, really, from New Zealand, and I think they should be very, very pleased with that result.
Yeah, a growing team as well, and into 11th. So this does factor in the disqualification. So we have the information then that they mispunched on control number 12, which will be that last forked control.
It's in the forking. I mean, it's where we saw Tove Alexanderson come out and be confused by her forking on the next control.
So I wonder if she just went to the same control as Absol, and she followed Absol
and got a little bit ahead of herself. She comes out through the fence and goes, well, hang on a minute, my control's to the right. Why am I at the road already? Nothing makes sense. She's very stressed. Simona's getting the gap that is going to give her the win. And meanwhile, Tove Alexanderson is throwing it away for Sweden. They had it wrapped up. All she had to do was keep calm. But in this course, this psychological course, she has failed to do so. And wow, well, Sweden crash out of the medals. That is quite the way for that to end, as you see the Italian athletes coming in for 15th place.
Yeah, I don't know, we try to sum up this relay. One, like, not the most tricky, but lots of kind of small different micro route choices, and we've seen it be very, very close. I mean, just look at this. We're not really used to seeing these teams so close here, and you can see there Sweden outside of the results with a missed punch. Yeah,
Sweden are gone, and I'm now seeing Great Britain in 7th. I thought they actually finished in 7th would be bumped up. But anyway, so yes, this looks like your final result list. Switzerland taking the win ahead of Sweden, who were disqualified. So Finland take the silver medal, sorry.
And Norway with the bronze.
Norway into bronze, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that will be their best result at a World or European Championships for Finland. It matches their second place finish in the first round of the World Cup this year in Genoa in Italy. And a drama-filled race then for this. This is a recap then of the fourth and final leg, where we saw Sweden and Switzerland go out pretty much together here. Some unusual route choices to this second control that really, really split everybody up. Not too many mistakes. Well, there's a few route choice mistakes here, but then watch out for the GPS trackers when they go in towards control number 6, because at this point Sweden had a bit of a lead, managing to get a bit of a gap on Finland in second place, and then Switzerland into third place, and people stopping here. Sweden going the wrong way, and then ultimately likes of Great Britain, Switzerland having the best times on this leg from 6 to 7.
This long leg, the athletes will have expected it to be decisive, but it's only decisive if you think it's going to be. And that is why Megan Carter-Davis and Andrina Benjaminson could make up a bit of time here. In the end, not enough for those two.
They had lots of controls very close together. There was really not very much time to read the map and make that decision, and it just puts them under a lot of stress. And then Finland going the different way around, and from here, really, Switzerland and Sweden like managing to get that gap. We saw Switzerland, I think, in the lead at this point, pushing the pace around here. Maybe this is where we see Norway start to catch up then on this final leg.
Yeah, it was a good run from Andrina Benjaminson, actually. We shouldn't overlook that, especially now that the Norwegians have been promoted to that bronze medal. She closed well after the run of Kasper Fossa.
And then next time check was at this control number 11. Okay, now watch out for Sweden's tracker here, because Sweden had F. And I think, we know she was behind Abersold here, even though the tracking looks different. I think here is where she will have punched
Yeah, she has quite simply followed Simona Abersold.
And then punched this F control here, where we saw her make the hesitation, punching the different control on the different forking, and then a different route choice here in towards the control number 15. This is where we saw her long way back.
Yeah, it's a suboptimal route choice as well, which explains some of that
This is a
gap.
mistake for Great Britain here at F. that is the mistake then from Megan Carter-Davies.
Wow, and an interesting
not
exit
seeing
direction
the gap.
as well. Yeah, that is where
She just didn't see the gap between the two F controls.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
And that's a shame for Megan Carter-Davies and for the British team.
One mistake.
Yeah, one mistake.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it takes. So now we see the front teams on the GPS coming through the fan zone. That wee mistake from Simona Aebersold. Had Tove been in sight, that could have made a big difference. But as it was, Tove, well, she'd already disqualified herself, of course, but she was also a little bit too far behind to catch up, even with Simona slowing right down to enter the maze. Make sure you execute that right, because if you have the gap, all you have to do is not make a mistake. And she managed to do so to take home the gold for Switzerland.
Yeah, not easy to make a look of the GPS tracking then for those athletes there, but you can see that mistake from the British team will have put Norway into a good position, and so fantastic result then for Switzerland, for Finland and for Norway. Let's hear from the winners.
And I'm here with the world champions from Switzerland. Congratulations, all of you. Natalia, let's start with you. How does it feel being world champion in sprint relay?
Yeah, it was difficult. We were expecting that it will be difficult, and everybody had to make his job, like Einzel single love, single redden, single competition, and like everybody did his job 100%.
And you were in part of the first leg, just 3 seconds after the exchange. What was your strategy there?
Yeah, I did one small mistake, and it was a Gabelung, so forking, and then I tried to come closer, even like it was maybe 50, 60 meters from beginning, and then it was only 30 meters or something like this. But my target was just to come in a leading group. Also in front would be better, but it was almost not possible.
And you can pass on the microphone to Ricardo. Ricardo, you had the second leg where you created a gap together with Emil Svensk from Sweden of 20 seconds. What was your experience there?
Yeah, of course. We were in a small group in the beginning, so I knew I had to stay calm, take my forkings, do my proper route choices. And yeah, I really achieved this. It was really good. And then, yeah, soon I realized we were only two in the front. So I knew we stay calm, just do our job and push where we can. So yeah, it was a lot of fun out there.
And pass it on to Joey. Joey had on your third leg together with Martin Rekborn from Sweden, switched the lead all the way. And suddenly Tuomas Heikkilä of Finland came up as well. What was your experience?
Yeah, we went together out with Martin. We knew exactly what we had to do. This was the plan, to get a safe and secure race. And I somehow expected that some of the fast runners on the third leg can catch up or can even move away. But my clear goal was just to hold with the lead, do a proper race and just don't get into a trap. And yeah, in the end, it even got a bit tactically. I felt like we knew we had a little gap. There are some runners closing, but for me, I was so confident that we have such a strong finish. And yeah, I hold it back and just wanted to give in the lead.
And the strong finish was up to you, Simona, going out there very close to Tove Alexandersen and Venla Harju of Finland. What were your thoughts going out on that fourth leg?
Yeah, I knew that my legs were good. I didn't really feel well before the start. I was feeling somehow a bit strange, but I knew that I could do everything as long as I read the map really well. In the beginning, I had some insecurities. I saw the others, and then I saw Venla in the front. But I knew that there was a lot of time. It was a long sprint relay, so I had a lot of time still to catch up and to do my job. So yeah, I attacked in the end, that it was worth it. It worked out in the end, yeah.
And were you expecting a sprint finish or going into this maze? I mean, I would be so nervous to make mistakes there. What was your thinking going into the arena?
Yeah, I just knew that my goal was also before that I would be prepared for the finish, for the last controls. And I don't know if my one of my strengths is the sprint finish, so I just knew that I had to attack before and to try to get a gap, and it worked pretty well. Somehow Tove was suddenly not there anymore, and I was happy. I just knew that I had to get the race to the finish.
And it's the first gold medal in sprint relay for Switzerland. For 10 years, Sweden has won 4 WOCs in a row. What does it feel being back on the throne?
Great. Great. No, it was. We knew that we would go for gold today. We had to give our best, and it worked out so well. And I think all of us are really, really happy.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Oh, amazing work and really interesting, as always, to hear from the teams there. The neck and neck performance there, the neck and neck battle between Switzerland and Sweden. On paper, we maybe thought Sweden had the edge with the 2 world champions, but Simona Aebersold, despite feeling a little bit uncertain before her race, maybe a lot of nerves in there, to be honest, so, as well, yeah. Put together the complete race and got ahead where it mattered, did her own, or maybe it was a good tactic to be ahead and be doing her own orienteering, not being distracted by the person behind her.
She led Tove Alexanderson into the mistake that cost her team dearly. I mean, it's interesting to hear from someone. It sounded like her perception of the race was she sort of attacked with a kilometre to go and suddenly Tove wasn't there anymore. So maybe she doesn't know that Tove behind it basically bottled it for the Swedes and given her that advantage. But all 4 athletes, wow, and that's a lot of disqualifications we see towards the lower end. Big hitters in there, obviously Sweden and also Denmark, disappointed probably to miss punch at some point in that race.
Yeah, they will absolutely be disappointed with that one. And we're just preparing for the flower ceremony there, and you can see the athletes in the right-hand corner. But it's been a very interesting and unusual arena then here for the spectators, for the athletes today. And we will get ready then for our flower ceremony with some of our young Scottish juniors being part of this one as well. And we can welcome the top 3 teams up onto the podium. Before there's always an orienteering, there's a period of time set aside for any complaints, which is why we do a flower ceremony first, and then once that period of time has elapsed, then we can do the medal ceremony a little bit later. But it's nice to do something straight after the race as well. So let's start then with the bronze medalists here today, and a good kind of team performance on some routes, lost at the end, but those last 2 runners, Kasper Fosser and particularly Andrina Benjaminsen on the latter leg, pulled them back into contention and rewarded with a bronze medal here at these World Championships.
From Andrina Benjaminsen. I'd like to see in the analysis later how fast she ran as an individual leg relative to the girls at the front. I wouldn't actually be surprised if she might have caught a little bit of time on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is Norway's 2nd bronze medal in a row in this mixed sprint relay. They took the bronze last year in Denmark. 2nd place then goes to Finland. They are their first ever medal in a World Championships sprint relay. Maja Sienoja, Mika Kimmela, Thomas Heikkilä and Ven Lahaju receiving their flowers here on the podium. But the team with the biggest smiles today, of course the winners, and to ruin the winning streak of Sweden as well is the cherry on top of the cake. So that team, Natalia Gempela, Ricardo Rankin, Joey Hadorn, and the brilliant technical orienteering under so much pressure for Simona Aebersold on this last leg. They are the new world champions in the sprint relay, this team from Switzerland. So congratulations to the top 3 and to the winners, Switzerland, in what turned out to be a very, very tight mixed sprint relay.
What a race it was. That's the 4th medal out of 7 available already going to Switzerland. It's been a fantastic championship from them already. Of course, we look forward to the knockout sprint to see if they can pick up any more. But yeah, wow, what a race that was.
Yeah, very, very different characteristics to the individual sprint, flat and fast through this park section, a lot more through the forest, on the grass as well, but still very tricky and technical route choices that we've seen from the athletes then here. And we can just congratulate then these top 3 athletes. Any other surprises as we look down the results list then, James? Anyone you want to pick out?
Yeah, well, there were good results for Spain and New Zealand, both creeping into the top 10 after a couple of disqualifications. Obviously not the way you want to make the top 10, but their performances were good for that. Belgium actually, I think, have done quite well there for 11th. Obviously they have Yannick Michaels, but other than that, not a nation with so many top-level sprinters. The Czech team also in 4th.
And we also saw Teresia Nashikova, Cécile Calandry finishing really, really quick at the end. And let's just recap then. This is the mistake. This is what lost them the silver medal, because you can see Tova there has the F forking. She punches E. It looks like she punches past that forked control there, but she doesn't. She punches
we
E
don't know for
instead.
sure whether
I think she runs past the first F.
Past it, or whether she runs all the way around. I'm sure the Swedes will try to protest it, because that's what you do at a major championship, but I don't think there's any indication.
And that's also, again, you see that mistake to the F control for Megan Carter-Davis. She just doesn't see that tiny little gap just on the edge, on the northern edge of that circle of that first F control. Just misses it completely, and then you've lost. Well, you've lost seconds going into that control, and you've lost seconds going out of that control.
And that control, turns out to be decisive in the results list. If you look at a map of this beforehand, you would never pick that control out as being particularly important. But yeah, it is just the stress of the sprint relay in this format of orienteering. It is so difficult to keep your head, and that is where the race was lost.
Well, a fantastic race then across all 4 legs. Incredibly tight, incredibly technical, fast and complex races. Not without mistakes, though, as well. And ultimately leaving Switzerland with their 2nd world title. Their first one in a decade then. It's wowed the crowds here in Edinburgh. We have a rest day tomorrow before the final of the 3 competitions here at these 2024 World Championships. We will be back in 2 days' time on Tuesday for the knockout sprint. We hope you enjoyed today's race. One more still to come.